hoping to. Paris will welcome about 4,500 athletes to the city to compete in the first Summer Paralympics, to be hosted by France. Competitors will take part in 22 sports across the 11 days of competition, with 549 gold medals up for grabs. The Games will feature the usual mix of experienced international stars hoping to enhance their reputations, and newcomers aiming to make their mark. Simone, Italy, para-swimming. Barlam has been a key figure in Italy's emergence as a Paralympic powerhouse in the pool. The 24-year-old from Milan, who was born with one leg shorter than the other because of a hip issue, spent time in Paris as a child as he had a number of surgeries. After starting swimming competitively aged 14, he made his international debut at the 2017 World Championships in Mexico and has become a leading performer in the S9 category. Barlam says he struggled at his first Paralympics in Tokyo, where he won gold, 2 silvers and a bronze, but comes to Paris after winning 6 golds in 6 races at last year's Worlds in Manchester, and is a strong favourite to add to his tally. S9 400 metres freestyle, Thursday 29th August, S9 50 metre freestyle, Monday 6 September, S9 100 metres backstroke, Tuesday 3rd September, S9 100 metres butterfly, Friday 6 September, mixed 4 100 metres freestyle, 34-point relay, Saturday 7 September, Daa De Groot Netherlands, wheelchair tennis. Dutch women have dominated wheelchair tennis for many years, and De Groot is the latest star. The 27-year-old is world number 1 in both singles and doubles, and won gold in both events in Tokyo, the latter with Annemiek van Koot. Born with her right leg shorter than the other, she started playing wheelchair tennis aged 7 and has dominated the sport since her breakthrough in 2017. She is the first player, wheelchair or non-disabled, to win 3 successive calendar Grand Slams. And among her multiple titles are 5 French Open singles and 6 doubles titles at Roland Garros, where the Paralympic wheelchair tennis events will take place. Earlier this year, she was named the Laureus World Sportsperson of the Year with a disability, following compatriot Esther Verger, who won it in 2002 and 2008. Women's doubles final, Thursday, 5th September. Women's singles final, Friday, 6th September. Marcel Hug Switzerland, para-athletics. Hug's silver helmet has seen him dubbed the Silver Bullet, but he is no stranger to gold, and, as one of the stars of his sport, the 38-year-old will be hoping to add to his 6 Paralympic titles at the Stade de France. Hug was second best to Britain's David Weir at London 2012, but made his breakthrough 4 years later in Rio. The Swiss won his first gold in Rio in the T54 800 metres before adding another in the marathon. In Tokyo, he completed a clean sweep of wins in the 800 metres, 1500 minnow, 5000 metres and marathon before adding another 3 golds on the track in Paris at last year's Worlds. As well as the track, Hug also stars on the road and has multiple wins in the big city marathons of London, New York, Boston, Chicago and Berlin. T54 5000 m Saturday, 31st August, T54 1500 m Tuesday, 3rd September, T54 800 m Thursday, 5 September, T54 Marathon Sunday, 8 September, Oxana Masters United States. Paracycling. Masters has overcome much trauma to become a star of both Summer and Winter Paralympics. She was born in Ukraine in 1989 with multiple birth defects 3 years after the Chernobyl disaster, and after being abandoned by her birth parents, she grew up in an orphanage where she was regularly beaten and abused. Aged 7, she was adopted by American woman Gay Masters and eventually had both of her legs amputated above the knee and had surgery on her hands. After starting her sporting career as a rower and competing at London 2012, winning bronze, she switched to paracycling and cross-country skiing. She won 2 golds at the 2018 Winter Games in Pyeongchang before securing 2 golds on the road in Japan, then following up with 3 more golds at the 2022 Winters in Beijing in cross-country and biathlon. Last year, she released her autobiography, The Hard Parts, where she told her powerful story. H4-5 time trial, Wednesday, 4 September. H5 road race, Thursday, 5 September. Marcus Rem Germany, para-athletics. The man known as the Blade Jumper is an overwhelming favourite to win a 4th Paralympic long jump title in Paris. Rem, who lost his right leg below the knee in a wakeboarding accident in 2003 and jumps using a bladed prosthesis, has been the star of para-athletics since his international debut at the 2011 Worlds in New Zealand, constantly pushing the boundaries of his T64 event. His current world record stands at 8.72 bell, the 9th longest jump of all time, and his 2024 best is 8.44, a distance which would have won Olympic silver in Paris and gold at the previous 4 games. However, he is unable to compete at the Olympics because it was ruled that jumping off his prosthesis gives him an advantage over non-amputees. The Olympics loss is the Paralympics gain, and Rem in full flight is a sight to behold. T64 long jump, Wednesday, 4 September. Sheela Dy India, para-archery. Aged only 17, Dy will be one of the youngest competitors both in archery and at the Games as a whole. The Indian was born with a condition called phocomelia and is missing her upper limbs. However, she shoots arrows using her feet and is the first and only female para-archer to compete internationally without arms. She discovered archery 3 years ago, and although coaches initially suggested that she use a prosthesis, she gained inspiration from American Matt Stutzman, the 2012 Paralympic silver medalist and 2022 world champion, who was also born without arms. Her first major event was at the 2022 Asian Para Games, where she won women's individual compound gold and mixed doubles gold. She also took silver in the women's doubles before claiming individual world silver last year and goes in as world number 1. Women's individual compound, Saturday 31st August, mixed team compound, Monday 2nd September. Alexis Hanquin Quant, France, para-triathlon. The 38-year-old from Normandy is one of France's main hopes for gold at the Games. Hanquin Quant is the defending Paralympic champion in the PTS4 category and has been the dominant figure in the division since his international debut in June 2016. He is unbeaten since his Tokyo win. A keen basketball player and combat sports practitioner, he had a work accident in 2010 and had his leg amputated below the knee 3 years later. He made his parasport breakthrough too late for Rio, but by Tokyo, he was a multiple world champion and secured gold by almost 3 minutes from his nearest rival. Along with para-athlete Nantenin Keita, the father of 2 was voted by his teammates to carry the French flag at the opening ceremony of the Paris Games. Men's PTS4 triathlon, Sunday, 1 September. Morgan Stickney, United States, para-swimming. Stickney's first sporting dream was to swim at the Olympics, and she was ranked nationally in the top 20 age 15 before she broke bones in her left foot, which was eventually amputated in May 2018 because of pain and complications. That was the start of her medical challenges, which led to her being diagnosed with a rare vascular condition which prevents sufficient blood supply from reaching her limbs. Stickney had a second below-the-knee amputation in 2019 and said then she would never swim again, but returned to the pool during the COVID pandemic and fell back in love with the sport. She went on to win 2 golds in Tokyo, her first international para-swimming event. Since then, the condition has progressed and she has lost more of her legs, and it is also affecting her whole body. In the build-up to the Games, Stickney, now 27, has had to spend 10 days or more in hospital in Boston every month for treatment, but is fiercely determined to once again shine on the big stage. S7 400 Mini Freestyle, Monday 2nd September, S7 100 Min Freestyle, Wednesday 4 September. Subscribe for more updates. Thanks for watching. The Great Britain team for the 2024 Paris Paralympics will feature more than 210 athletes competing across 19 sports. It includes a mix of experienced campaigners as well as some Games debutantes, with all aiming to impress on the big stage in front of crowds after Tokyo 2020 was held behind closed doors. Here we look at some of those hoping to shine in the French capital once the Paralympic action begins on 29th August. Sophie Han, Para-Athletics. Since retaining her T38 100 mm title in Tokyo, equaling her own world record in the process, things have not been plain sailing for the 27-year-old from Nottingham. Han suffered a setback at the 2022 Commonwealth Games in Birmingham, losing out to GB teammate Olivia Breen for her first major competition 100 m final defeat since 2014. The 2023 Worlds in Paris were another tough experience for Han, with bronze in both the 100 m and 200 m, although the latter is not a Paralympic event, while she finished with a silver as part of the universal relay team. She faces a formidable challenge in Paris against current world champion Luca Eckler of Hungary and Colombian pair Darian Jimenez, the 2023 world champion and Tokyo silver medalist, and Karen Palameque, who won silver behind Eckler in Kobe, plus Greek newcomer Lida Manthopoulos. But an impressive run at the London Diamond League meeting last month in 12:55 seconds, the fastest time in the world this year, shows that Han is in good form and she will not give up her title without a fight. T38 100 meters, Saturday 31st August, 400 to 100 meters universal relay, Friday 6 September. William Ellard, Paraswimming. One of 16 debutantes on the British Paraswimming team, Ellard is hoping to make an impact in the S14 category for swimmers with intellectual impairments and follow former GB swimmer Rhys Dunn, who came away from Tokyo with 3 golds, a silver and a bronze. The 18-year-old from Beccles is based at St Felix Swimming Club and has made big strides over the last couple of years. He made his major international debut at last year's Paraswimming Worlds in Manchester, taking silver in the 200 mm freestyle and winning gold and silver medals in the relays. Earlier this year, he equalled the 200 mm freestyle world record held by Dunn, and also tops the 2024 100 mm butterfly world rankings. He claimed gold in both events at the Open European Championships in Madeira in April, and also showed his versatility with backstroke silver and medley bronze as he prepares for individual events and the freestyle relay. Away from the pool, Ellard is a big Formula One fan and can name every F1 world champion from 1950-2023. S14 Butterfly, Thursday 29th August, S14 200 meters freestyle, Saturday 31st August, S14 mixed 400 m freestyle relay, Sunday 1 September, SM14 200 medley, Wednesday 4 September, S14 100 meters backstroke, Friday 6 September, Kadeena Cox Paracycling. After competing in both cycling and athletics at the past 2 games, Cox will be focusing on the bike this time around. The 33-year-old from Leeds started her sporting career as a sprinter before a stroke in 2014 led to her being diagnosed with multiple sclerosis and starting on her parasport career. At her first Games in Rio, she became the first Briton to win a medal in 2 sports since 1988, with gold in cycling and athletics, and was the flag bearer at the closing ceremony. Between Rio and Tokyo, she had to deal with a knee injury, the after effects of concussion, and the impact of disordered eating, as well as the pandemic, but still retained her C45 500 mm time trial crown and was also part of the victorious mixed team sprint squad. She finished 4th in her athletics event, the T38 400 mm. The build-up to Paris has also been challenging, with Cox having a relapse of her MS just days after winning gold at the 2023 World Championships in Glasgow, and then sustaining 2 calf muscle tears, which ended her chances of competing in athletics in Paris, although she did retain her world title in Brazil in March and will want to impress again on the big stage. Women's C4-5 500 millimetres, Thursday, 29th August, mixed C1-5 team sprint, Sunday, 1st September. Phil Pratt, wheelchair basketball. Although the 30-year-old Welshman started his sporting career as a wheelchair tennis player, it is wheelchair basketball, where he has become one of the best players in the world. Pratt's first Paralympic experience came at the London 2012 opening ceremony, when he and 7 of his GB under-23 teammates carried the flag into the stadium. 2 years later, he made his GB senior debut at the World Championships and has been an integral part of the squad since then, winning bronze at Rio 2016 and captaining the team to world gold in 2018, and also winning European gold. However, various on- and off-court issues led him to opt out of selection for the Tokyo Paralympics, and he said that watching from home as his teammates won bronze helped fuel him on for Paris. Now based with European and Spanish champions Amiab Albacete, Pratt returned to the squad and at the World Championships, which were played in Dubai in 2023, was a key figure as GB won silver after a last-gasp loss to the USA. He was named in the tournament's All-Star 5. Men's wheelchair basketball, Thursday, 29th August, Saturday, 7 September. Clare Tager, boccia. Taggart will be hoping to make it third time lucky at her third games in Paris. Already a history maker, she was the first athlete from Northern Ireland to compete in the sport when she made her debut in Rio in 2016, and will be aiming to become the first woman to win individual gold for Paralympics GB since 1984, when she competes in the BC2 event. Aged 19, she was diagnosed with the neurological condition dystonia, which leads to joint and muscle contractions and spasms, and became a full-time wheelchair user. Finding boccia changed her life completely, and she joined the world-class program in 2015. Since Tokyo, the sport has separated the category into separate men's and women's events, and Taggart secured world gold in Rio in 2022 and European bronze in 2023, and comes to Paris as world number 1 and will also be part of the BC1-2 team. Taggart, now 29, is also a keen music fan and an animal lover with 6 tortoises, including Gary Lightbody, named after the lead singer of Snow Patrol, and Biffy, named after Scottish rock band Biffy Clyro. She is also Disability Access Officer for Irish League champions Lana FC. Women's BC2, Thursday, 29th August. IRA Sunday, 1st September, BC1-2 team, Tuesday, Thread Thursday, 5 September. Johnny Peacock, Para-Athletics. Peacock has won a medal at each of his 3 previous Paralympic Games and will want to secure another at his 4th. Millions of people remember him as a 19-year-old shushing the crowd at London 2012 before he stormed to victory in the T44 100 Manans. 4 years later, he retained his title in Rio and then added the 2017 world title in London before a stint on the BBC's Strictly Come Dancing later that year, where he was the first amputee to take part in the show. Things have not run smoothly since, and in Tokyo, he could only win joint bronze in the 100 minotaurs alongside Germany's Johannes Flors, as Felix Streng took gold, although he did take silver in the universal relay. There was disappointment at last year's World Championships in Paris, where he could only finish 5th as Italian newcomer Marcel Hug announced his arrival on the big stage. Despite only being 6th fastest on paper in 2024 and now aged 31, Peacock is a man who revels in the big occasion, and it would be foolish to rule him out of another medal challenge both in the individual event and the universal relay. T64 100 meters. Heat Sunday, 1 September, final Monday, September. For 100 minutes universal relay, Friday, 6 September. Rachel Chung, para badminton. Chung had to watch from the sidelines as badminton made its Paralympic debut in Tokyo, with her SH6 category for short stature athletes not part of the inaugural program. But her life changed in late 2021 when it was confirmed for Paris, and 3 years and a lot of hard work later as a full-time athlete, the 30-year-old from Liverpool will become GB's first female player at a Games. Chung, who has a Chinese-Malaysian background, has been competing internationally since 2008 and made her World Championship debut in 2013, winning gold in the women's singles and mixed doubles. She has gone on to regularly accrue major championship singles and doubles medals since then. The chance to become a full-time athlete and train for a Paralympics was an opportunity she says she had to grab with both hands, and she will chase medals on 2 fronts in Paris as GB seek a first gold in the sport. As well as the singles, where she is world number 3, she has a strong chance in the mixed doubles, where her and partner Jack Shepherd are the top pair in the world and have won world bronze and European over the past couple of years. A self-confessed foodie, Chung spent many childhood hours in her grandparents' Chinese and Asian supermarket, and also worked there as a young adult. Women's SH6 singles and SH6 mixed doubles. Thursday, 29th August, Monday, 6 September. Dan Powell, para judo. Powell is following in a family tradition when he takes to the judo mat in Paris. The 33-year-old from Liverpool, who was born with a visual impairment, was just a child when his father Terry, who is also visually impaired, took part in the 1988 Games in Seoul and the 1996 Games in Atlanta, winning bronze in both. He made his Paralympic debut at London 2012, but both he and his brother Mark missed out on medals. In 2018, he shot to fame when he appeared on the ITV show Ninja Warrior UK, becoming the first person with a visual impairment to take part. He said that taking part was scarier than competing in London. After finishing 7th in Tokyo, he took up rowing, impressing there too, but the lure of judo proved too strong and he made the decision to concentrate his efforts on it again. The decision has been vindicated with silver in his J1 90 kg event at the 2022 World Championships in Baku, followed by silver in the 2023 European Championships in Rotterdam, and he goes to Paris ranked 3rd in the world. Powell is also passionate about giving back to the sport and set up the GNR8 Academy in Leicester, a community impact project which helps to support the local people, break down the barriers to physical exercise, and find ways to integrate everyone into the community. He was rewarded earlier this year with the Social Impact Award at the PLX Awards hosted by UK Sport. Men's 90 kg J1, Saturday, 7 September. Subscribe for more updates. Thanks for supporting and watching. We've put together a guide with everything you need to know about this summer's Paralympics. Paris will stage the Summer Games for the first time in 2024. It is the second time France will have hosted a Paralympics after the 1992 Winter Games in Tignes and Albertville. About 4,100 Afro-funded athletes from around the world will take part in 22 sports, cheered on by crowds again after the rescheduled Tokyo Games in 2021 were held behind closed doors. When are the Paralympics? The Paralympics will begin with the opening ceremony on 28th August. This will be held outside a stadium for the first time, and athletes will parade by some of Paris's most iconic landmarks, located along the route between the Champs-Élysées and the Place de la Concorde. Spectators can watch along the route before the official parade, and formalities take place in front of ticket holders at the Place de la Concorde. A total of 22 gold medals will be decided on the opening day of competition on 29th August. The final day on 8 September will feature medal events in wheelchair basketball, para-powerlifting, para-canoe and wheelchair marathons, as well as the closing ceremony. Which venues are being used for the Paralympics? Many of the venues being used at the Olympics will also stage Paralympic events. Wheelchair tennis will be at Roland Garros. The picturesque Château de Versailles Gardens will be the venue for the para-equestrian events, and the Stade de France will host the para-athletics programme. The Grand Palais, normally a venue for art and sport events, will host wheelchair fencing and para-taekwondo, while the blind football competition will be in a specially built stadium at the foot of the iconic Eiffel Tower. Para-triathletes will compete in the centre of Paris, with the swim leg due to take place in the River Seine. Which sports feature at the Paralympics? There are 22 sports in the Paralympic programme: blind football, boccia, goalball, para-archery, para-athletics, para-badminton, para-canoe, para-cycling, para-equestrian, para-judo, para-powerlifting, para-rowing, para-swimming, para-table tennis, para-taekwondo, para-triathlon, shooting para-sport, sitting volleyball, wheelchair basketball, wheelchair fencing, wheelchair rugby, wheelchair tennis. Which new sports are at the Paralympics? Unlike the past two editions of the Games, where para-triathlon and para-canoe, Rio, and para-taekwondo and para-badminton, Tokyo, made their debuts, no new sports are included in the Paris programme. However, the badminton and taekwondo programs have been expanded, and there are a record number of medal events for women. How many gold medals will be won? A total of 549 gold medals will be up for grabs. Who is competing for Paralympics GB, and how many medals could they win? Paralympics GB will compete in 19 sports in Paris, having failed to qualify in blind football, goalball, and sitting volleyball. The GB team will feature about 213 athletes, and you can find the confirmed names of who will be competing here. Among the stars in action will be Britain's most successful Paralympian, Sarah Storey, who is competing at a 9th Games, a British record, and will be hoping to add to her 17 gold medals. Wheelchair tennis player Alfie Hewitt will be aiming to win a first gold medal, having completed a career Grand Slam by winning the Wimbledon singles title last month. Wheelchair racer Hannah Cockcroft, table tennis player Will Bailey, and swimmer Alice Tai will also be among those in action. In Tokyo, Britain finished second in the medal table behind China with 124 medals, including 41 golds. UK Sport has set a medal range of between 100 and 140 medals for the GB team. How many nations will compete at the Paralympics? The increase in the profile of parasport has meant a gradual rise in the number of nations participating in a Paralympic Games. In Atlanta in 1996, 104 nations took part in the Games, rising to 123 4 years later in Sydney. And that number reached a record 164 at London 2012, before a slight drop to 159 at Rio in 2016. At the Tokyo 2020 Games, which were held in 2021, 162 nations participated, with a number missing out because of COVID-19 restrictions. There were debut appearances for Bhutan, Grenada, Guyana, Maldives and St. Vincent, and the Grenadines. It is expected that the number of nations competing in Paris will exceed the record of 164 set in London, although it will fall short of the 207 delegations who competed at the Paris Olympics. Can athletes from Russia and Belarus compete at the Paris Paralympics? Athletes from Russia and Belarus will be allowed to compete at the Games as neutrals. Both nations have been suspended from Paralympic competition since Russia's invasion of Ukraine in February 2022. At the following month's Winter Paralympics in Beijing, competitors from Russia and Belarus were not allowed to take part as neutrals after the International Paralympic Committee, IPC, was criticised for originally saying they could. In September 2023, the IPC voted to lift the full ban and partially suspend the national Paralympic committees of Russia and Belarus. That decision was criticised by some international federations, including Paralympics GB. Russian athletes were barred from the 2016 Rio Paralympics over historic doping allegations before athletes were able to compete under a neutral flag and using the initials of the Russian Paralympic Committee at the 2018 Winter Games in Pyeongchang and Tokyo 2020. When did the Paralympics start? Although what became known as the first Paralympics took place in Rome in 1960, the seeds of the Games were sown more than a decade earlier in Britain. Sir Ludwig Guttmann, a neurologist who was working with World War II veterans with spinal injuries at Stoke Mandeville Hospital in Aylesbury, began using sport as part of the rehabilitation programmes of his patients. In 1948, he set up a competition with other hospitals to coincide with the London Olympics, and over the next decade, his sporting idea was adopted by other spinal injury units in Britain. In 1960, 400 wheelchair athletes from 23 countries came to the Italian capital to compete in 57 medal events across 8 sports at the 9th Annual International Stoke Mandeville Games, now regarded as the Rome 1960 Paralympic Games. Subscribe to our channel for more updates.